on. All right. Is it recording?
Yes, ma'am.
Excellent. And are you going to do some meeting stuff first, or you just want me to jump in my presentation?
We're gonna do your presentation first, and then we're gonna talk about business stuff afterwards.
Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you again, ladies, for welcoming me into your chapter. I'm excited to be here via Zoom. And I tell you what, I can talk for hours, right? So be careful. But what I want is for this to be more of an interactive session rather than me just being a talking head at you, okay? So please engage in conversation with me, ask questions at any point in time, especially with the size group that we have. It's easy for us to have a conversation as a part of the presentation rather than like waiting for Q&A at the end or something like that, all right? And when I'm in person in a room with people, I do that too. It's harder on Zoom, but when I got such a small group on Zoom, it's excellent still. All right. So we are going to talk about sparking breakthrough change in you and your business through passion. And so I say, well, what has passion got to do with it? And anytime I start to talk about passion, I have to say, well, let's first define what that means. What does the word passion mean to you? This is the interactive part. You can just popcorn out what you think passion means to you.
It means like have the desire.
A desire?
I mean, that's what I would feel about passion.
Yeah, that would be the one.
You have grit.
Say that again.
You have grit.
Grit. I love that. That is the first. No one's ever said that before. I love that so much. I think it's true. What else? Anybody else? Other words that come to mind?
Desire was the first thing in my mind.
What was that?
Desire.
Desire. Huh? Interesting. Usually people say it's that which you love to do, that which drives you, that which gets you out of bed in the morning, excites you, all of those good words. And that's all true. That's all true. How many of you would like more joy in your life? Yeah, everybody, right? Less stress and anxiety. Both hands. Yeah, both hands, ladies. We all know about that, right? And so I like to talk about the real definition of the word passion in the work we do as the Passion Test family. I'm certified in this work. Is we say it's those things you love the most. And while doing those things you love the most will bring you joy, in most cases, it doesn't mean that everything in life is coming up roses and bliss. Right? You got that, shaking your head. You get it, okay? The word passion actually comes from the Greek word pashko, which means to suffer. Yeah, right. Like, whoa. That seems like that's the opposite of what we just described, doesn't it? Here's what we do as human beings, however, is we define words based on our experience and use of them rather than the true definition in the dictionary. So what do you suppose the definition of suffer is? Or what would you immediately affiliate suffering with?
Hurt, trouble, pain.
Hurt, trouble. Did somebody say pain?
Pain, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, most of the time, 95% of the time, that's the word my audience has come up with, is that suffering is pain. And that is not the definition of suffer. The definition of suffer is to feel keenly. To feel keenly. It is an intensity of feeling. Whether it be great joy or great sadness, it's an intensity of feeling. Does that make sense? Any story pop to your mind when we talk about that? That the word passion is affiliated with?
Passion of the Christ.
Exactly, right? And I love that that story comes up. Most people in the world know the story of Jesus Christ. Why did Jesus Christ suffer and die on the cross?
For our sins.
For our sins, because
He still knows, right?
He's passionate about us.
he loved us so much That's the intensity of the word passion and love. Because he loved us so much, he was willing to suffer for us by dying on the cross to forgive us of our sins, right? Ladies, how many of you have children in the room? Do we suffer a little bit to raise those children that we love so much? Right? No kidding. And anybody follow Brene Brown? Okay, well, you should look her up. Her name is Brene Brown. She's a fabulous motivational speaker with a scientist background. So she's done a lot of research on human emotions and grit and resilience and things like that. And Brene says that the most difficult feeling or emotion for humans to experience is joy. It's the most difficult one for us to really feel is joy. But I figured it out. I was driving down the highway one day and the sign said, delivering joy daily. It was a billboard, delivering joy daily. And it was a mother holding her new baby. And I said, that's it. That's the moment, if you've ever had that blessed opportunity, when you know real joy in your heart. So we mothers are pretty blessed that we know that, right? And that's what I want people to think about as understanding the feeling behind passion and true joy, right? Is that depth of emotion. Make sense? And see, we say that your passions are like breadcrumbs leading you on your path to your destiny. That's another big word that I think lots of people define differently. What's your definition of destiny? If your passions are breadcrumbs leading you on your path to your destiny. And that used to be the subtitle to the book, The Passion Test, which is right up here over my left shoulder. And now it is The Effortless Path to Your Life's Purpose. Do destiny and purpose mean the same thing?
Yes.
Thanks for not agreeing just because, right? So what to you is the definition of destiny versus purpose?
Destiny is predetermined. Purpose doesn't have to be predetermined. It can be chosen.
I love that. I absolutely love that definition. Now, I only have one question with that. I think there's another word that plays in the same realm, and people use it called fate. Like, I have no choice. This is my destiny. This is my fate. I'm stuck. But we do have a choice. We do have a choice, and I believe our passions are like breadcrumbs or clues keeping us on our path in this world to fulfill our purpose. And I believe destiny is not a destination or a predetermination. Rather, it is a story. It's the journey of our life, not the end result, not the moment, right? Like, I don't know about you guys, but there's only one place I pray to end up in at the end of all of this, right? And so one day I found myself laughing at myself. I'm like, so do you finally get it, LuAnn? Are you finally enlightened? You spend all this money on all this personal development stuff. And literally a little voice inside of my head laughed and said, why are you rushing there to the end result? You don't need to rush that. The day you hit enlightenment, you're going to another planet or another space in the world, right? Another sphere, something out there beyond my reach right now, right? And so why am I rushing there? Rather enjoy the journey along the way. And personal development for me is just a part of my journey that will always be a part of my journey. I will always want to go deeper, learn more, investigate more about the mysteries of our world, right? And what it all means. And that's part of what we do in the passion test. So if passion brings you joy, including suffering, right? Why is it important for us to know what we're passionate about?
To know your life.
Say that again.
To know your life.
To know your why. I love that. Anyone had read Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why? Look that one up too, you ladies. Great book, Simon Sinek, Start With Why. And when Simon came out with that book, he talked about how important it is to know your why, but he never talked about how to find it. And I was like, cool. We have the tool in the passion test to help people find their why. One of his statements, one of his quotes is, you'll know your why when it makes you cry. Again, the depth of emotion that is there. And you see, we women have that depth of emotion more than the men in the world. It is our superpower. It is our superpower. What we fail to do often is really accept and take hold of that and courageously live that, who we are. Because historically, we're taught to conform, to be normal like everyone else, right? And we're always comparing ourselves to other people and trying to fit into some box that's arbitrary and made up, right? When one can really find your why and your passion and step fully into it, it's exactly who you were designed to be. One of my favorite quotes from the passion test is, that which you love to do and what is God's will for you are one and the same thing. That which you love to do and what is God's will for you are one and the same thing. It was like a weight lifted off my shoulders. You mean I don't have to listen to my parents, my friends, and anybody else telling me what I'm supposed to do in the world? I need to find what it is in my heart and soul and honor that. And I say, when you get connected to your life's purpose, when you get connected to your life's flow, everything comes easier because you feel confident and in control, because it is exactly who you were designed to be. Go do that. Go do that which you were designed to be, that you love to do. You know, the world tells us things like you got to work hard to get ahead, right? You got to make a lot of money. Not everybody needs to make a lot of money. Are there people with a lot of money that are very unhappy?
Yep.
Sure there are. We've even seen some very wealthy people go as far as suicide because they're so unhappy and distraught in their situation, right? Because the other thing we do to each other in this society is we pigeonhole you into a spot and say, okay, you decided that you're going to be a doctor. Now you're going to be a doctor for the rest of your life. And the thought of changing that after you went through all that education and what is, we're made to feel like an embarrassment. Like, wait a minute, you just spent 15 years in training and now you don't want to be a doctor anymore? Hey, that's okay. You have the power to change your life anytime you want to. We just have to have the courage to do it. Why don't we step into it sometimes? What are we afraid of?
Change.
We're afraid of change, right? This is another one of my favorites, right? We call it the comfort zone.
Yeah.
We call it the comfort zone, and it's not very comfortable if you're not happy there. You might have, the house and 2-car garage, cabin somewhere, what have you, all the perfect things that are supposed to be good. And then it's like, well, why would I mess with that? So even though I hate my job, I'm going to sit here and do it anyway because it makes me look like I'm normal, like everybody else. Right? You see it all the time. I live in Rochester, Minnesota, home of the world famous Mayo Clinic, right? So lots and lots and lots of people come through our community and even move to our community and live here because they're dealing with a life-threatening illness. And what I've learned is that when people are dealing with a life-threatening illness, all of a sudden, that comfort zone, that normal, is no longer good enough. And they finally have the courage to change everything in their life that's not working, that they don't like. And I'm here to tell you, ladies, do not wait until you hit rock bottom and are miserable with whatever you're doing in your life and then decide to change. Do it now. It's okay. It's fabulous, right? We can reinvent ourselves anytime we want. And so I encourage people to dive in and understand their passions, to really know. And sometimes for some of you, it will simply be an affirmation that you're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing, but that builds confidence in us. It builds certainty in us. It gives us grit to get through whatever it takes. We say when you're following your passions, the ups and downs of life fail to throw you off track. Why? Because I know the light at the end of the tunnel. I know where I'm going, and I'm going to go through it to get what I want at the end of the tunnel. Does that make sense? It's like raising those children. My children are 33 and 30 right now. I have a new grandbaby just a year old, right? I was a single mom for a long time, and I thought that I was the worst mother ever and struggled with that mindset the whole time I was raising my children, right? And now I see my children successful, their own families. My son runs his own soccer coaching business. He's super successful. It's like, oh my gosh, I played a part in creating these two beautiful human beings. And I'm getting choked up because that's the intense joy that I feel when I think about my children. But nobody should have to wait 30 years to feel joy. Okay? We need to feel it now in this moment and take grasp of those joyful moments. You know, in every moment of the day, even the struggles in raising those children, to remember the joyful side. And our passions help to draw us back to that and remind us, I love my children. And even though it's a difficult day, they are the most important thing to me, right? Things like that. And so that's why following your passions is important, and knowing what they are is super important. When we help people to identify their top 5 passions, it's specifically because our mind can only work on 5 to 7 things at a time. And really, if you ask a neurologist, they're going to tell you one. But so, ladies, the days of multitasking need to be over. But we want people to memorize their passions. Anybody heard of the Strength Finder?
Yes.
Yeah? Anybody know your top 5 strengths?
Oh, I have not looked in a long time, so.
Okay, see, this is exactly the point I'm trying to make. Because it shouldn't be something that you have to look for. You should know it in your heart of hearts, right? The Strength Finder was designed that if we identify people's strengths and let them work in the area of their strengths, they will be stronger and more productive people. And so we need to know what they are, and we need to continually funnel things that way, that in playing to their strengths. And the passion test is the same thing. So they teach you your top 5 strengths by taking an online test, which any of you can go out and do. It's called Strength Finder 2.0. It's now run by Gallup. It's a test of 120 questions on a Likert scale of, do I like the situation or not? No wrong answer. And at the end of it, it emails you your top 5 strengths, natural skills, characteristics, talents that you personally carry. Great information to have. I know when I found my top 5 strengths, I was like, oh my gosh, it totally describes me to a T. And again, own that and live it and go, that's who I am, and that's okay, right? We all carry these different characteristics, but all it does is raise 5 of them to the top to help you know yourself better. And in the passion test, it's not a test. You can't go online and take the passion test. I need to facilitate you through the process. And why is that? Because we want you to drop into your heart and make decisions from your heart, not from your head. Okay? And that's why the Strength Finder is also on a Likert scale, right? They're trying to get to the same level. But we do it through facilitating you through a process. It's like peeling back the onion to uncover your top 5 passions. And then just like the Strength Finder, we want you to memorize them, because we say the key to living a passionate life is whenever you're faced with a choice, a decision, or an opportunity, consistently choose in favor of your passions. We have to know them in order to do that, right? But when you can do that, because you know them and you can make all your decisions based on it, it's like a guiding light that keeps you in your life's flow, that keeps you on your path and your purpose in this world. And that's the really cool part. And that's why I get so excited about teaching this work and doing the passion test with others, because I watch them own their passions and become super successful. And that doesn't mean they're millionaires, right? It means they're successful at what they want to be successful at. I can't remember the exact quote from Earl Nightingale, but it's something like the definition of success is continually working towards a worthwhile goal. It's not getting to someplace, it's the continual work on getting to that place and doing those things in the world. So, what does passion have to do with business? Oh, wait, I gotta go back to this one. This one's really important. So we know this is in the book, The Passion Test as well. The Harris Interactive Study showed that only 20% of working Americans are passionate about what they do. Only 20%. What are the other 80% doing, ladies?
Yeah. On the snooker button.
They're working so they can live, basically, surviving. That's really what it
They're
is.
surviving. You're right. They're working for an almighty paycheck. That's it. Right?
Yeah.
And oftentimes are unhappy, but they stay there. And then it goes back to that whole comfort zone conversation, right? Michael E. Gerber wrote a book called The E-Myth, The Myth of Entrepreneurialism. And in his book, he says, in the absence of passion, there can be no success. Because if you don't love it and care about it, you'll never feel successful about it. So the days of the Industrial Revolution and the assembly lines and just telling people, just go do it, right? Because I said so, are long gone. People worry about the Y generation and Gen Z and how do I work with those people? Well, all they're saying is we want to know why. Why are we doing this work in the world? I have to understand the meaning behind the work I'm doing in the world, or I don't feel successful. And I don't know why I'm doing it. And they're not going to just do that anymore and go in to collect a paycheck. They have to have more meaning drawn into their work. So it goes back to the conversation we were having earlier about giving people the meaning of ABWA. Why would they want to be a part of our organization? And we need to get to that emotional meaning of why. Not just because it's another network, not just because, you know, we're raising money for each other, but what's the why? What's the why? Find that for your chapter and market that. Who do you want to be as a chapter? And so our big, hairy, audacious goal in the Passion Test family is to turn this statistic around and increase it to 80% of people living their passions. Now that's a big, lofty goal, but we'll keep working on it. There's, you know, around 4,000 or 5,000 of us around the world teaching this content. And we do feel like we're making some impact and headway on this. What would it mean if 80% of people were living their passions and working in their passions? What do you think would change in the world?
I think the entire world.
Yeah, we had a lot of chiefs and not enough Indians, right? I mean, productivity, I can't say the word, productivity would go up because people actually are wanting to do what they're doing.
That's right. That's exactly it. You hit the nail on the head, right? What do all businesses want?
Productivity.
Productivity, to increase their bottom line, to increase their results, to grow and become bigger. Well, we need to engage our employees in that conversation, make sure they're passionate about what they're doing in that organization so that they're supporting that result. And they will be more productive when they're happy about what they're doing, right? What would it be like if everyone that served us in the retail stores, in the restaurants, and everywhere were happy about what they were doing? Would our customer service increase and improve? How about less stress and anxiety in the world, which is the true pandemic in our world today? Stress and anxiety. And worse yet, the high levels of suicide, right? But if we can get people living what they love to do and feeling that joy, we can reduce all that other stuff. Could we reduce crime? Yeah. Who are the criminals? The people who are suppressed or unhappy, right? And we want to help them, lift them up in the world. So what we know so far, right, about passion and business is passion is the things that hold the greatest meaning to us. They're the things that matter most. And all the great achievements in history occurred by people following their passions. Give me a couple of names. Who can you think of that followed their passion that made impact in our history? I didn't hear.
Martin Luther King.
Martin Luther King, Mother Teresa, Oprah Winfrey,
Yeah.
Steve Jobs. You know, that's even recent history. You know, you can go, lots of people go way further back than that, right? But that's when people grabbed on and they said, I don't care if other people think I'm crazy. I'm going to do this because it's meaningful to me. They told Ray Kroc, you can't put a hamburger stand on every corner in America. Sure he can't. Of course he can. And he did it. And not just in every corner of America, all around the world are McDonald's, right? Because he didn't listen to those naysayers who said, you can't do that. All too often, we let that voice in our head say, you can't do that. Who are you to do that? What makes you think you could do that? That kind of garbage is going on up here. And guess what? It's right there. We often feel a fear of judgment from others, but they don't have time to judge us because they're dealing with the same monkey mind in their head. And so remember, those negative voices in your head are not real. They're not real. They're made up things you're making up in your head. And you can tell yourself any story you want. So I choose to tell myself the positive story that everything's going to work out. It's all good. I'm going to be fine, right? It was the most helpful skill to have learned before the pandemic. That rather than looking at all the negativity that was happening during the pandemic, that the world blatantly shoved at us every day in every broadcast, in every media, right? Instead, I looked for the silver lining. And I looked at the children playing in their yards with their family. They weren't out in their yards playing before. They were all hidden away in the house because they could get in and out when they wanted. Now, you're kind of stuck in your yard. But the family units were brought back together. Being at home to do your work might have been challenging with children around, but it also brought us closer to our children again. Right? Yeah. And the joy of even being able to get out and go for a drive or a walk in nature became treasure again, right? And that's how I choose to look at the world, is everything does have that silver lining. I just have to find it. You know, even when my husband had his heart attack, it made us change our eating habits. It brought us closer because I needed to care for him. We spent more time together. And this is post children, right? That we were empty nesters, and it brought us closer again. I want him to have a heart attack? No, but I looked for what's the outcome in this that's good for us. So they've done more studies at Harris Interactive in 2010. The first one was 2005. And 5 years later, it increased to 30% of workers, American workers, are passionate about what they do. That number does not extrapolate over the world internationally. It's worse in other countries than it is here. We have more freedoms to make those choices in America, and we're blessed. And what we also know is that a focus on strictly money-based decisions led to the global economic collapse in 2008. When CEOs only focused on the bottom line and not on the people. And then the people weren't there. And that's another pandemic lesson too, right? Like, they're all focused on keeping you in your cubicles and getting the work done. And then they had to let you all go home and go, oh crap. Like, are they really working out there? Well, if we've built a culture and a foundation built on people loving to do what they do, they're going to do it. As an entrepreneur, I know that nobody else is yelling at me to get things done, but I do what I do because I love it. And it doesn't feel like work anymore. Retirement isn't even a word in my vocabulary because I will be doing this work until I can't speak anymore. Make sense? That's what I see for the world to be. and enjoy. And that's what I want for others. So this just compares some other studies about employee engagement. At Gallup says that only 29% of employees are engaged in their work. The other 71% are disengaged or actively disengaged. What does that mean? That means 71% of the employees in any given company are actively trying to find another job. They're actively trying to find another job. And only 29%. And it's the same number as our 30% of passion. See it? 29% are engaged. It's those 30% that are passionate about it. And the other 71% are getting paid just to show up and they're really not engaged in what's going on in the organization. Now, when I tell business owners that, they get really nervous. They go, oh, I can't afford to lose 71% of my workforce. But here's the thing about statistics. They can create almost anything they want, depending on how you slice it, right? And what I have found when I actually go in and talk to employees in an organization is that more like 95% of people have found themselves in the right profession, in the right organization, but we're not consciously aware of it because we're so used to being the complainers at the water cooler and dumbing down to the least productive person instead of trying to do more. Does that make sense? So I tell them, don't worry, that's not really what's going to happen. You're not going to lose 70% of your people. And then the 5% that you might lose are the ones bringing everybody else down. It's helping them to be consciously aware of why they got into that profession, why they do the work that they do, and what they love about it. Pandemic, another great example, right? The medical field hit hard, stress and anxiety, etc., right? Difficult conditions. Then you add bureaucracy on top of that, which I can see in the institution in my community. And right, it just beats people down, right? So I had this young lady come to me. She's like, I gotta get out. I gotta get out. And we went through the whole passion test process and through it. And she was gonna go start a Rodan and Fields business. You know, Rodan and Fields. It's another skincare company like Mary Kay. Anyway, she thought that's what she wanted to do to get out of the medical field because of the stress and anxiety of it. And instead, we found out, no, she said, I am totally passionate about nursing and caring for other people and serving other people. So I'm going to persevere and go back. Brought back her grit, brought back her resilience because she knew it was where she was meant to be. It was her purpose in this world to be serving other people and caring for them. That's what I want people to find.
Here's my question.
Yeah.
What was the thing that not find enjoyment in her passion anymore in the first place?
Okay, say that again.
I guess my question to that would be, what was the thing or series of things that made her not so passionate about her nursing in the first place?
Bureaucracy, stress, anxiety, negative work conditions. Now, some of that couldn't be helped during the pandemic, but when she could see clearly that what her passion really was, she could persevere through that challenging time. Does it make sense? Because those challenging times will be there. They're not going away. Knowing a challenging time is also how we know joy on the other side. Right? You don't know what dark is unless you know what light is.
Yeah.
Makes sense? Same is true. You don't know true joy unless you've seen true challenge as well. And it's a part of life for us to see both. But I believe following your passions helps you be resilient through those difficult times because you know who you are and where you're headed and what you want to create in this world. So this survey is about how much it costs business owners. On average, a disengaged employee costs a business owner $16,000 per year. That's a lot of money. While a fully engaged employee can increase your bottom line by $32,000 a year. That's nearly a $50,000 spread. Is it worth investing some training and some money and opportunities like finding your passions into those employees?
Yeah.
To engage people in what we're doing here And then all organizations will be more successful when everyone's engaged and rowing in the right direction. And it's okay for the others to say goodbye. You don't want that 5% of dead weight going on, right? So bring the employees into what they're passionate about. Let them feel it and know it in their heart. Another quick story, and you guys tell me if I'm going over time because I'm really on good stories tonight. I worked with this company. It was only about 4 years old. And they are like, do you know what a Cabela's is or a Bass Pro Shop? Yeah? Okay. This facility is called Leashes and Leads, and it was all about boarding animals, pets, including horses as your pet, right? So they would board 250 dogs in a weekend. And the employees, when I was working with them, were just complaining about the challenges of moving the dogs out to the play area, and that the fence was in the wrong place in the gate, or the gate was in the wrong place in the fence line. And I really had to stop the workshop and say, okay, you guys, listen up. If you're so upset about that, if you're so full of anxiety and stress, then you got to quit. Oh, I was scared the owner was standing behind me and was going to kill me. But it got them all to stop talking. And I said, what have we uncovered about this organization? We have uncovered that you are focused on pet parents. That's your target market. People who treat their pets like their children. That's your target market. And all of you sitting in this room are pet parents. You have 5, 6 dogs. Guess what? You get to bring them to work every day. They get bathed here. They get fed here. That gate can get fixed one day. I think you got a pretty sweet deal going on over here. Out of 25 people, I always tell people at the end of the process, if you find that this is not the right fit for you in this company, then you need to tell the boss and you need to find an exit strategy. And that makes the bosses nervous. But again, it usually is only about 5%. Out of these 25 employees, one young man came up to me and he said, I think I'm in the wrong place. I said, what's going on? He goes, I don't like dogs. Why are you here? He's like, I'm a handyman. I just love fixing things. If they'd give me the money, I could fix that gate too. But I can't stand being around all these dogs. And I'm like, you got to go. That's just the fact of the matter. And what does that do for a business owner? The business owner now knows that that's not the right fit for them and can help that employee find a better job somewhere else that fits them. And we all get the right people on the right seats of the bus in our organization. Does that make sense? And so business owners need to be open to this conversation, but it's ultimately about helping them to know their why, finding the meaning in it, and helping to create culture in your organization around allowing people to live their passions. And this study shows us that 51% of workers worldwide said they would sacrifice status and pay in order to have more meaningful work. This is why we have organizations like Tom's Shoes. Everybody know Tom's Shoes? Or Bomba Socks. Or in Minnesota, we have Love Your Melon. And it's beanie cap that sells for $50 because they're raising money for kids in cancer that have cancer. Tom's Shoes gives away a pair of shoes for every shoes they sell. There's meaning behind what we're doing. We're not just making shoes. We're not just making socks. We're serving the world's homeless by giving them socks. For every Bomba sock that's sold, that give away a pair of socks to some homeless people. You get it? Help people draw that meaning into whatever it is you do. And it makes your employees more engaged. Everybody's rowing in the same direction. They have a more positive impact on your customers, on each other. They're more likely to be willing to change and innovate things in the organization because it has meaning. It's not just a job. It has meaning. So we talked about B&I a little bit earlier, and I shared for the young woman who came in late that I'm a 20-year B&I member, if you know what B&I is. And I've got the pleasure of calling the founder and chief visionary officer, Dr. Ivan Meisner, my friend and my mentor. And Ivan says, culture eats strategy for breakfast. Culture eats strategy for breakfast. If you don't have a foundation of a quality culture, then any strategies you apply will fail at some point or another. And that includes every one of us as an individual and solopreneur, understanding who we are, what our values or our passions are, and using those to create culture. People know when they come to anything that I do, they will be in a positive culture by the way I act, live my life, and carry myself. And I have found even that I go into a room and energetically people will go, we just love your energy. I'm like, I didn't do anything. I didn't say anything. We just love your energy. I'm like, cool. That's my culture for my own personal solopreneur consulting business, right? So we all need to have it, whether you have a team or not. And I'm suggesting to my ABWA family that we all know the culture of our individual chapters so that we can share that meaning to attract people to join our chapter rather than just the facts of what ABWA does, the meaning behind it in our hearts and our souls. And so if you go to a BNI meeting, you will see that we talk about our values every single week in our meeting to remind everyone in the room what we have agreed to live by as our values and the culture we create in a BNI chapter. Make sense? And we can do the same in ABWA. So when I was back in college and learning the hospitality industry, I learned about something called the cultural iceberg. And what is that? What do we know about icebergs?
It's always bigger underwater.
It's always bigger underwater, thus the statement, it's just the tip of the iceberg. And the only thing you can see of the iceberg is the tip. You don't know any of those things that are lying underneath the water, right? I can look in this room and say you're all women, right? But other than that, anything about your culture, your history, who you are, I don't know. I don't know. That's all I really know. The tip of the iceberg of who you really are, just by that one observation. And that's how we see culture in organizations. Culture is defined as the set of shared attitudes, values, goals, and practices that characterize an institution or an organization, like ABWA. And when you look at the cultural iceberg, it shows you the things that are seen by the outside world above the waterline, and those things that happen below the waterline, what we believe in, what we value, what are our traditions, what are our shared assumptions, what stories do we have about what we've done in this organization, right? All below the waterline that we need to find a way to share with other people to attract them into our culture. So instead of being a tractor and going out there and trying to sell ABWA to other people or your business or whatever, right? Is we need to be an attractor by sharing our values so that they come to us. That when we share and we're passionate about what we do in our organization, that people want to be a part of it because we want to hang out with like-minded people. Everybody does, right?
Yes.
And positive people. So historically, people were taught a traditional business model that said you need to create your mission, vision, and values. Our model is unique contribution, vision, and passions. And actually, it works the opposite way. I need to change the order of those. We start by identifying the organization's passions. Okay, those translate into your core values. Same thing. We just believe they're more inspiring than the traditional core value. Then we use those passions to create a vision, not a vision statement, a vision story of where we want to be 10 years from now, whether that's in your business, your life, or your ABWA organization. You can create that big, beautiful story of what that vision is out there. That is the inspiration that drives us to do what it takes to get there. That holds us up when we're sitting here with 5 people and we'd rather have 40, right? That vision helps us to continue to work it to get to that. And the unique contribution statement is a short phrase. In BNI, we might call it a memory hook. You might call it a tagline, short inspirational phrase that you can repeat easily to others that help them understand who you are individually, in your organization, in your business. Oh. So this is an example. I had the pleasure of speaking at Texas A&M University to an ABWA chapter. of young women. It was fabulous. And because of that, and that was sort of a younger audience than I typically work with, I went to the university's website to find out their core values. And there they were, right on their website. And you know what? Those young ladies in that room knew all of these. They could articulate them. They knew what their university was about and what was important to them. They knew their purpose statement. That's what we all need to know. Called a friend recently to catch up on what's going on in his business. Hadn't talked to him for, maybe 10 years. And I said, so Tony, tell me about your core values. And he goes, well, I could tell you about them if I could find them. They're around here somewhere. No, that's not the way you implement core values. You need to know them and live and breathe them every day because they are a decision-making tool, just like your passion, that all comes together. And whenever you're faced with a choice, a decision, or an opportunity, consistently choose in favor of your passions or core values. And lots of companies that I work with, I speak the language of passion, and they turn around and label them core values, and that's okay. That's okay, right? But I just use the tools of the passion test to get us there. So ask yourself this about the organization you work in, your business, your chapter. What is our culture? What is our culture? What do we want people to know about us? Can the team of people, the members in your chapter, articulate it clearly to others? How do we implement it, live it, and breathe it every day? Is your team using it daily? Do they articulate it to your customers? Are they demonstrating it through their actions? And do your customers know what it is? That Leashes and Leads company I worked with, but when he did this work with me and we created culture in his organization, his core values, he sent them out on his website and his investors noticed. And they said, we understand you better. We get it. We see what you're trying to accomplish and why you care about it and what's at the heart of your business. People care about that. People want to hang out with people who are passionate about what they do and positive and supportive and know who they are. So you don't have to answer these questions to me. I saw a bunch of you taking pictures. That's great. Think about them. Use them in your chapter to define who are we in ABWA. Jasmine. Is it Jasmine? Did I do that right?
Jessamine.
Jessamine.
Yeah.
Jessamine. And use the tools that I'm sharing with you to improve your chapter and how you share with others what your chapter's meaning is to you guys as a group. Cool?
Cool.
Cool. Q&A time. I'm going to pause here for some Q&A, and then I have just a few fabulous quotes and other resources I want to share with you before I go. How am I doing on time, ladies? We good? I can't hear what she's saying, so tell me if I need to speed up.
No, you're fine. I said I have a hearing impairment. I'm just making sure you're asking about time.
Q&A. I'm asking you also if you have any questions.
Then I have this for the no questions.
No questions?
I would like information on how to do this passion test and stuff, but
You got it. You got it. I'm going to do one better than that. I'm going to give you all, because there's only 5 of you, all a chance to book on my schedule, and we'll talk about it individually, what it means to you, what's going on in your life, how can this maybe help you, and what it looks like to do it. Is that okay?
yeah, awesome.
Would you all like that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So we'll get to that back in a minute. These are just statistics, more statistics that back up why a purposeful culture is important and every business owner should take it into consideration. My favorite is healthy cultures grow revenue by 166%. Now, if that's not enough to make them take action, I don't know what is. You can increase your revenue. My business coach always tells me, you got to talk about the bottom line, because the passion seems all too fluffy to people. They need to know about their bottom line, and there it is. There's the statistic. Healthy culture grows revenues by 166% over others. This is a reminder that the passion test is a decision-making tool. This is our quote from the passion test process. Whenever you are faced with a choice, a decision, or an opportunity, consistently choose in favor of your passions, which means you have to know what they are, right? It is a competitive imperative. Only by loving what you do will you actually do more and do it better than the person sitting next to you. I'm not actually talking about the person sitting next to you. It's really about your competition. And this is from the art of getting things done. Well, we women can get things done. And we get to be okay talking about it from a loving space, because that's the human emotion, the emotional human beings that we are. And it's okay. I have another friend who wrote a book, Love is Just Damn Good Business. His quote's coming up. The best way to communicate is through the heart rather than the head, by stirring passion and emotion rather than appealing to reason or logic. Love that. Absolutely love that. They actually have the organization called Heart Math that actually scientifically proving that our heart is making the decisions and sending signals to our brain. And that's where it gets lost, in us balancing what our emotion is telling us and what the world is telling us. And that's when we get it all messed up in this computer that's called our brain, right? And so I am encouraging people to step back into their emotion. And so are all these quotes coming back to that space. Your passions are like breadcrumbs, they're clues, they're emotions. Do what you love in service to people who love what you do. My favorite quote of all time, Mr. Steve Farber wrote The Radical Leap, and love is just damn good business. And he runs an organization called Extreme Leadership. And love is just damn good business is the same thing of what I'm teaching you right here. And that is that we got to create a culture around love. But we don't use the love word in business very often. But what do we want? We want our customers to love us, right? So we as business owners need to love our team. So our team will love our customers. So our customers love us. Love is just damn good business. And so talk more about it and be the emotional beings we are, ladies, and share it with the world. I've helped so many people that are trying to put it together some fancy marketing message, just boil down to their why and share it with people. And when you do that, they're attracted to you because of your story. I said this many times before, when you are aligned with your deepest, most important passions, the ups and downs of life will be unable to throw you off track. It gives us the resilience and grit we need to get through. And that is by the authors of the Passion Test, Chris Atwood and Janet Bray Atwood. So you already said you're interested in learning more. So I was going to ask you how many of you are struggling with something, because no matter what it is, there's a way for this tool to help you. And would love to share that with you and find out what your struggles are. So here you go. Here is a QR code to my calendar. That's going to take you right to my calendar, and I call it a business acceleration assessment, but it can be about your life as well as your business. It's all encompassing for me. I promote myself as a business coach because people will invest in their business, but when they work with me, they get life coaching too. It's just the way it works. Okay, that's my strategy. So would love for you each to book one of those calls. When you do that in the next 24 hours, we'll send you a free gift. That
You
is some,
like after 5.
okay, if you need to meet after 5, we can make special arrangements for that. It's not on my calendar, but you have my email address. It's also right there for everybody else. LuAnn@LuAnnV.com. You just email me, say I'm with ABWA, and I can only meet with you after 5. Can we find a day to do that? Or on weekends, perhaps, what works for you? Because I get it, but I don't open my calendar that way because I don't want to always be doing that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? And I know we're on different time zones too, so that might impact. So if you have any trouble booking, you just let me know and we'll make it happen. Okay?
Cool.
Cool. Last quote, ladies, to wrap this up. You cannot struggle to joy. Struggle and joy are not in the same channel. You joy your way to joy. You laugh your way to success. It is through your joy that good things come. So step in, learn your passions, live them, and joy and success will follow. people are chasing after success on the premise that it will make them happy and joyful. And that's not the truth. It's the other way around. We got to find the joy. We got to find the good things, and then success will happen. And then what I believe is the money that you need to fulfill your purpose in the world will come. That it follows. So ladies, if there's no other questions, it's been my pleasure, and I hope to see you each individually on a Zoom call with me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And you guys all got the QR code, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, cool. All right, I'll let you get on with the rest of your meeting. I'm expecting a dinner guest very soon, so that's perfect timing.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, ladies.
I'm gonna go ahead and
Bye,
disconnect
good night.
us.
I gotta stop share and stop record.
All right, so thank you so much.